Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabari here with Mark Zinno. Zinno, how are you? Happy Wednesday. It's been a minute since
Same
I've
to
seen
you.
you.
I know. Great to be
Thanks.
back. I know you are traveling. You are just a nomad across the country right now, out on the West Coast, doing yeoman's work as the sideline reporter for the Atlanta Hawks. And we certainly
It is
appreciate
a
you
true statement.
getting up early with us.
I
It's
do what
always
I
a pleasure.
can. Do what I can, Zinno. Yeah, we're in Phoenix right now. It's bright and early here, and I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Got the
Is there any
room
sun? Because we
coffee.
haven't seen any sun in Atlanta in a while. So
Yeah, the sun is rising as we speak, so there is a little bit of sun in the air right now. Okay, before
thankfully,
we
you
do
are the light of
anything,
our
we have to.
lives.
Oh, thanks. Before we do anything, we have to get into the biggest news from today. So let's get right into it. Tom Brady officially retiring again. The GOAT, greatest of all time, is now going to be done. It almost looked like he was on a run on the beach and just like recorded an impromptu retirement video, but he said he got, his long emotional letter written last year when he retired. He said you only get one of those. So he's getting right to the point and he's retiring, and he just wanted to thank all of his friends, family, the fans that have rooted him on, the opponents and competitors that he's gone against. But the greatest of all time, Zeno, is retiring. He's officially done now. How do you feel about it?
I mean, look, all you can say is, and there's not many people who are fans of Tom Brady. I am. I mean, listen, I grew up in New York and I've been a New York fan my entire life. I'm a huge fan of Tom Brady, probably one of his biggest. Why? Because I enjoy watching greatness. And all I can say is how fortunate have all of us been for the last 20 plus years to be able to sit there and watch the greatest player at the position of quarterback and maybe the greatest
Yeah.
football player play the game at the highest level and do so with such grace and such class the whole way through. The fiercest of competitors. I mean, just there's not a moment that Tom Brady had, whether he was slamming a tablet down on the sidelines or having confetti fall on him after winning 7 Super Bowls. There's not a moment of watching Tom Brady I didn't love. Just as somebody who is competitive and somebody who loves great athletes and great competitors, Tom Brady was the pinnacle of that. And we're just fortunate. I mean, just very, very blessed. I mean, think about it. In the grand scheme of our lives, Lauren, we've been able to watch Tom Brady, LeBron James, Derek Jeter, all of
Hmm.
these all-time greats, that have just transcended their respective sports, and we've been alive to watch it
Yeah.
all. It's incredible. So hats off to Tom Brady. I wish he would play another year. I know I might be the only person who says that, but I would love to see him play one more. I'd love to see him win one more. Why? I don't know, because I just like
Hmm.
watching great people win. For me, that's fun, but I'm probably alone on that island.
No, I agree with you too. I honestly thought that he probably had one more year in him. I wonder if we're going to see him now in the broadcasting booth. So maybe we will see him next year, just maybe
I
in a
hope
different
not.
capacity. But we'll see. We'll see. You never know. He's gotten some big offers, but 7 time Super Bowl champion, 5 times, 3 time league MVP, 89,214 regular season passing yards, which is first all
You good?
time. 649 regular season touchdowns, first all time.
Good.
13,400 passing yards in the playoffs, first all time. And 88 playoff touchdowns, first all time. I mean, he's the greatest of all time. He is. What is the NFL and what is football without Tom Brady? We'll see. We haven't known what
The
that's
guy
like in the
has
last 23 years.
the guy has compiled 3 MVP seasons of stats just in the playoffs alone.
It's crazy. It really is. And to be honest with you, like the last time no Tom Brady was in the NFL was when I was 7 years old. I don't even know what football is without Tom Brady. So it is going to be interesting moving forward to see what the NFL looks like without the greatest of all time. But congrats, Tom Brady, on an incredible career. Um, like he is the GOAT, the GOAT
I'll say
of the
this much,
NFL.
though. Now the 49ers and Raiders have real problems about what they're going to do at quarterback. Like now oh man,
It's
plan
true.
A just went right out the window. Okay, back to the drawing board. Plan B, here we go.
Yeah, plan B. I know. Well, the 49ers have a lot of quarterbacks, just none of them were unreal
Any good?
caliber. It's like, hey, you're injured, you're injured, you're not very good, you're okay, you're decent. Like, I don't know. we'll see what those teams end up doing. But in terms of head coaching news, Sean Payton officially hired by the Broncos via a trade with the Saints. The trade details: the Saints get a 2023 first round pick and a 2024 second round pick, and the Broncos get Sean Payton. How do you think that he's going to fit into their system and kind of bring his own system? Do you think he'll be able to fix Russell Wilson and the Broncos' offensive struggles? Because that's where they really need help. Defensively, they looked okay last season, but offensively, they need to figure it out.
Well, I mean, look, this is if giving away all that capital to get Russell Wilson was sort of pushing your chips to the center of the table and going, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Uh, this is the double
Hope this
down
works
of all
out.
in. The Broncos went back into their pocket and said, let me get some more money here. Let me just put some extra money on top of the table, and we're going to go double all in here. Because, look, if Sean Payton can't fix Russell Wilson, nobody can. Plain and
Yeah.
simple. That's just the bottom line here. This is the best offensive schemer and play caller in the last 20 years. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
outside of maybe Andy Reid, by a large margin, there's nobody close. So, and I say this, I've said this for years, and people have scoffed at me, especially people in New Orleans. Drew Brees is nothing without Sean Payton, period. Like, he doesn't have the career
Really?
he has without Sean Payton. Oh, God, he kept Drew Brees afloat for years. Give me a break. But that's a whole different conversation. I say all that to say that Sean Payton can have that kind of effect on it. Now, the hard part is that Russell Wilson's game per se and what he did well, at least in Seattle at quarterback, isn't really what Sean Payton does. I mean, Russell Wilson, because he's like, 4'11", likes to do 7-step drops and throw the ball down the field. That ain't what Sean Payton's offense is. It's 3-step drops and a 4-yard slant and a cloud of dust from the wide receiver, a.k.a. Michael Thomas back in the day. So maybe Jerry Jeudy is going to become Michael Thomas, and Sean Payton wants to make Russell Wilson sort of like Drew Brees. I don't know, but whatever Sean Payton is going to concoct, if it doesn't work for Russell Wilson, the Broncos are up a creek without a paddle. There is a avalanche coming for them. You see what I did there? Colorado Broncos
Yeah.
avalanche. You see that?
I see
Yeah,
what
that
you
was well
did
done.
there. I love that.
And you as a former Avalanche sideline reporter, it all sort of comes together, circular, right?
It's all
But anyway,
coming together. You love to see
I
it.
say all that to say that the Broncos are in deep trouble because if Peyton can't fix Wilson, nobody's going to, and they are in 100%
Yeah.
win now mode.
Yeah, and they have the pieces to be able to win now. They just needed the right guy at the helm to be able to coach them to do that. So I'm excited to see what a Sean Payton coached Russell Wilson and Denver Broncos team looks like. We have to wait about 7 months to see actually how that comes to fruition on the field, but it gives them a little time to fine tune, or even more than fine tune, fully lift up the hood and figure it out. Last but not least, the Texans officially hired DeMeco Ryans to a 6-year deal. Do you think he will be able to bring his former team back to relevancy? Because right now, similar to Brock Purdy in the draft, they are irrelevant.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and from all accounts that I've read and people that I've talked to, the Broncos wanted DeMeco Ryans over Sean Payton. Like, Sean Payton was their
Yeah.
B plan. Maybe that was because they didn't want to give up all the capital it took to get him. Because, the Broncos don't have a draft pick now until 2030 or whatever it is. I don't know. But the point simply being is that DeMeco Ryans was in demand. Look, I'll say this much.
Yeah.
The Texans are and have been for the last 2 years a competitive team despite having a very lacking roster. If it's the one
Yeah.
thing DeMeco Ryans can bring is a certain level of elevating that competitiveness even higher. Again, I'll tell you right now, this is a team that in week 1, when they're catching more than a touchdown, I'm just going to jump right on, period. Whoever they're playing, they're going to be catching a touchdown against somebody. And my guess is if it's over a touchdown, jump on the Houston Texans and take the points. Just because DeMeco Ryans is that level of coach and that level of competitor. Look, he wanted to go back to Houston. This isn't a job that anybody wants. You have no quarterback. You have a roster that's devoid of talent, and you're asking to pull this thing out of the doldrums. And furthermore, you're a defensive coach in an offensive NFL. So getting your offensive coordinator right is paramount. I mean, there's a lot of things stacked against him, other than the fact that he used to play there, and they play in the worst division in the NFL. So easily they can figure out a way to win it in a short amount of time. That's probably the only upside I see. But DeMeco Ryans got a big hill in front of him, but I'm sure he's up to the task.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw what he did with the 49ers and their defensive staff, basically. I mean, he turned that team around. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do with this Texans team, too. Like a lot of what ifs, a lot of what is this going to look like. But it makes this NFL season, this next NFL season, really exciting. And something for us to look forward to because right now there's only one more game until there's no more football for about 7 months. So unless you include the XFL, which will be interesting to see how that turns out, too. But we'll see that. Yeah. All right, that's it for NFL. Pretty crazy. Let's head on out to the hardwood, bring in our guy, Bobby Stanley, to talk some NBA. We got the NBA slate going on, 9 games on the slate tonight. Happy day. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, guys. Mark, did I miss the Tom Brady tears, or is that saving for the end of the show?
Well, I mean, listen, I didn't want to get too emotional, but yeah, I mean, it's listen, he's gorgeous. He's a great quarterback. He's worth shedding a tear over. I am wearing some of the TB12 gear, so I just wanted, to pay the ultimate respects to the ultimate competitor, and we'll miss you, Tom. Look, on the bright side now, he's got a lot of free time. He's got a lot of free time, and he's single. There's so few of us.
Yeah, something tells me there's something tells me we're not going to see the end of Tom Brady. Not from a playing standpoint, but I'm sure he ends up in the booth.
Anytime I can get a
sorry.
snort out of, I know.
He's good looking. He has
it.
a lot of free time, and he's single. There's not very many of us left out there.
You got to shoot your shot into the world, and that brings us to the NBA today.
I hope Tom wants to hang out with me soon. Tom and I could just go out and have a couple of cocktails out in the town, wherever Tom.
Thank you for that transition, Bobby Stanley. What were you going to say?
No, no problem. I could do this too, guys. I could host.
Yeah,
so
seriously.
for tonight, I mean, there's it's Wednesday night in NBA. Obviously, it's the biggest slate. There's a couple good matchups. The one I'm looking at first and foremost is going to be the Nets and the Celtics. Celtics haven't played in a couple days. Their last game was that infamous Lakers OT win. Was it a foul? Was it a foul? Was it a travel? But tonight I'm actually on Jaylen Brown over 32.5 points and rebounds. It's below his season average. He's averaging 34 a game. So anytime you can get a line underneath the season average, I feel pretty good about it. The Brooklyn Nets giving up the most rebounds per game to small forwards over the last 7. Ben Simmons is out again tonight. He's nursing a knee. Whether you believe that or not is up to you. So it adds a little bit less size to that Brooklyn Nets team. And again, coming off the 3 days of rest, Jaylen Brown had 34 and 10 against Brooklyn earlier in the season. Tatum was in that game too. Durant was in that game. So I think it's a good line at 32.5. I think it's a good spot for them. There's something like 8.5 point favorite. So favorite play tonight is going to be Brown over points and rebounds.
I like it. LeBron James is 89 points away right now from the all-time scoring record. When will he break it? Like, I looked at some of these ticket prices for the game of what they're predicting it's going to be.
Yeah, well,
courtside seats to that game, $75,000.
I mean, he's definitive. They don't get back home until Tuesday against Oklahoma City. So he's definitively sitting out one of the games. He's definitively sitting it out. They have 2 games at home back to back. He's not going to break this record on the road. So
$75,000 for tickets.
So Mark, you hit the nail on the head. It's 89 to go. The next game is at Indiana, at New Orleans. He will miss one of those two, whichever one is a coin flip. If you're up late at night and he plays the Indiana Pacers, hammer that New Orleans Pelicans line the next day. If you're up that late, then it's home against Oklahoma City. You can get him to break the record against Oklahoma City at plus 130, and then against Milwaukee, which is where my money is plus 120. Let's go through the narratives. Assuming he sits out, he has to average, assuming he sits out one of the next 2 games, probably has to average 25 or 26. That's not an issue. If you get Milwaukee, you get it against Kareem's old team. You get the optics of Giannis in the building. They're going to call a timeout. You'll have the pictures with Kareem and Giannis and LeBron. It'll make NBA history. Oh, yada, yada, yada. I think it's going to be against Milwaukee. Kareem, from what I understand, doesn't really travel. So it has to be in LA. And he's going to be there in the building. He's already on record saying, I'm going to be there when LeBron breaks it. So it's either OKC or Milwaukee. With Milwaukee being his old team and with being Giannis, it's going to be a nationally televised game. I mean, they're going to stop the news. I would imagine this is going to be very similar to Aaron Judge. They're going to stop the news when this happens. So
let me ask you a question. let me ask you this question from a prop standpoint. You're seeing LeBron's points per game prop, right? Or his points prop, in that high 20s. Is there a chance? Is it worth it to look at the next game he plays and hammer his over, thinking that he wants to get into the high 30s to make that number easier so he can break it earlier in the game and not have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you follow the logic there that he would want to score as much as he possibly could. He's not going to score 80, but I'm saying here is, in the next game, take his points over just because he's going to want to put as much as he can into that effort, knowing he'll have a day off and then be back home to play against or to break the record at the, what is it now? Not Staples Center. What the heck do they call it?
Crypto.com. The crypt.
Staples and it'll always be Staples. No, I do like the logic there. You have to wonder which game is he going to miss. My guess is the Pelicans. So against the Pacers, he loads up. If he gets 30 or 35, then he can kind of coast against Oklahoma City and hopefully hit it in the first quarter, the first half against Milwaukee. But you can still get this at plus. I mean, if you get plus 130 against OKC, plus 120 against Milwaukee, if you bet them both, you're walking away with a small profit. I really feel confident about the Milwaukee game. I do think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, again, I also think he would play against the Pelicans. That's a much softer team with a much worse defense at this point in time. I feel like he would score a lot more against them than he would necessarily against Indiana.
I don't know about that. I do feel better about. I mean, I like Herbert Jones as one of the best. He was if you remember, we did our show. He was my long shot for Defensive Player of the Year. I like the size of the Pelicans. The Thunder. I mean, not the Thunder. The Pacers, kind of middling since Halliburton's been out. But either way, he's going to miss one of those two. And like you said, try to make it easier on him in the first half. They call the timeout. He gets his roses. But it's exciting. This record's been up for 38 years. It's really the final stone, I guess, in LeBron's legacy. He just moved to fourth all time last night. He passed Steve Nash and Mark Jackson for all-time assists. But this is his crowning jewel. He's never going to get 6 rings, especially if he stays on the Lakers. So this is it for him. And how far can he push this record? Because he's going to play at least for the next 1 or 2 years and make it almost unpassable. Although I think Luka has a shot, but that's another 10, 15 years now.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. A lot of other good games on the slate tonight. The Warriors taking on the Timberwolves, Raptors taking on the Jazz. Who else are you on tonight in terms of props and sides? Like, who do you think wins the Nets Celtics game?
I think the Celtics win pretty handedly. I mean, the Nets have played admirably well, I think, without Durant. But this Celtics team is far and away, I think, the best team in the league. So I would take the Celtics. I think the spread's at 8.5. A lot of people were on the Magic 2 nights ago, myself included, following the 76ers hanging out at that NFC Championship game party.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of money betting Orlando money line and plus 9.5. I'm going the other way on that tonight. The line's still at 9. I think the 76ers cover. I think Embiid has a way better game than he does. And then same thing for James Party Harden. He didn't play too well the other night. I think he has an exceptional game tonight, probably a double in his future, getting a revenge game against the Magic. Couple other good games tonight. The Raptors. I like Fred VanVleet over points and assists. Raptors are playing the Jazz tonight. The Jazz have been getting thrashed by undersized guards over the last few games. Dame with 60, Kyrie with 48, even Rozier had 23. So Fred VanVleet's a guy I had my eye on tonight against the Jazz as well.
I like it. I really do. Baba Staley. I don't know why I just started talking in a Southern accent. I'm in Phoenix right now. What just happened? I like channeled an alter ego or something. That was weird. Did you guys hear that?
I'm in Jersey, so you're not even talking to a Southern guy here. I'm not sure where that connection's coming from, but you're spending too much time in the West Coast, Lauren.
Seriously, the West Coast and the South. I'm like, what is going on? I've become a different person. I don't even know what's going on right now.
Real quick, before I wrap up, I have one comment on the Tom Brady thing. I didn't want to bounce back. We had a really good transition into NBA. The bar is now set for Patrick Mahomes. He knows it's 7. I'm going with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It had nothing to do with Tom Brady. I was going with the Chiefs the whole time, but now he knows where he has to pass. This is
why I want the Chiefs to lose.
Extra motivation.
This is why I want the Chiefs to lose, because of this conversation alone. Can we stop because I have so much Chiefs fatigue. This Super Bowl for me is like watching the Taliban play Al Qaeda. Like, I don't want anybody to win. I want them all to lose. Like, it's ridiculous. I can't stand the Eagles.
Who did you want to win, Zeno?
And
Who did you
fatigue.
He wanted the Niners. He wanted the Niners. He wanted the Niners the whole season.
Yes, I did, because I like defense. But I like this whole Patrick Mahomes, greatest quarterback ever thing. Can we stop? Like, the guy's won one Super Bowl. He's got as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers and Jeff Hostetler, for crying out loud. Like, stop. Relax.
Mark, he's been to 3 in 5 years. I'm not counting his rookie year. No one's ever done that before. He already has 2 MVP. He's going to get his second MVP.
Brady went to 3 in his first 5 years.
What? Brady did go to 3?
He went in 01, 03, and 04.
Okay. So we have another guy who could be the GOAT. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, okay, but winning them is a whole different thing than getting there.
Zeno's
by the way,
he's
so
sad that Tom Brady's retiring. He's sad that Tom Brady's retiring.
I like greatness, Mark. We're talking about LeBron passing Kareem. We're talking about Mahomes having a shot at Brady. I like greatness.
And by the way, even if he does get to 7, guess what? Brady beat Mahomes straight up, so automatically that means that he's better.
I know. It sucks. But we will talk Super Bowl. You young kid. Did I get kids?
Get off my lawn.
I mean, I've never been so happy to be in my early 30s. Thank you, Mark. Guys, thank you so much. Good night of NBA ahead of us, and we're tracking LeBron for the next few days. It's going to be a blast, and the Super Bowl talk will not stop, and neither will the Mahomes GOAT talk. It will continue, and we will onward and upward.
And with that, we leave Mark Zeno on a cliffhanger. Thank you so much, Bobby Stanley. Appreciate you talking to you later this week.
Later, guys. Take care.
Peace. That was our very own prop holiday. Bobby Stanley talking about Patrick Mahomes possibly passing Tom Brady for the greatest of all time in the next 10, 15 years. We'll see what happens. And Zeno is pissed. But it's okay. That's either here nor there. I'll let you take it out with your play of the day. But before then, Let's Bet It is presented by our friends at Superbook Sports. Make sure to go to superbook.com or download the app today. And this season, we're all rooting for safeties. That's because Superbook will give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. Just place a $100 pregame bet on any spread or any total. And if there's a safety scored in any game on Sunday, you, my friends, get a $50 bonus. Make sure to visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. From superbook.com to pickswise.com, we got a couple 3-star plays of the day on the site today. What one's your favorite? What do you like?
Well, we have one bet for the slate today that's in the NBA, but we are looking forward. There's a soccer pick out there as well. The aforementioned Bobby Stanley has his best bet in the player prop market already up on the pickswise.com website for Super Bowl 57. So check it out.
I like it. All right, our plays of the day. And mine, I'm doubling down on yours. So I'll let you go for it.
All right. Well, here we go. Okay.
Here we go.
Celtics, Nets. So the Celtics snapped their 3-game losing streak last time out with what could be considered a little bit of luck from the officials. All right. Celtics have still failed to cover 6 straight. They've also failed to break 110 points in regulation over that span. Their defense, giving up nearly 120 points per game over their last 3 home games. They failed to cover all of them as well. Kyrie Irving continues to be on fire. He's averaging 35 points per game over his last 7. Now, this is a low total. I actually think this goes over here between Brooklyn and Boston, as Bobby Stanley alluded to. But the Celtics are just 13-12 ATS at home on the season. And I'll give you one more, Lauren. Bobby mentioned that the Celtics are on a 3-day break. This is the second 3-day break that they've had this year. The Celtics this season, when having 2 or 3 off, are 1-8 against the spread. The only other time they had 3 days off, they lost that following game outright as well. I'll take all 8.5 points with the Brooklyn Nets tonight, and Kyrie Irving continues to stay hot as the Celtics probably win, but I think the Nets cover.
You said it best. I'm doubling down, Zeno. That's it for us today, guys. RIP to the GOAT. Hopefully we see him back in the broadcast booth, because I feel like that would make football fun, right? Like seeing Tom Brady in the booth, don't you think?
You know what? I think I would love to see Tom Brady on the Manning cast full time. That's what I'd love to see. The 3 of them goofing off together.
Brady and Manning cast. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. We'll see what happens.
I mean, because
again, out there in the universe, you never know.
The battles that the 3 of them had against each other, like, it's nonstop smack talk. It'd be hysterical. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, that would be very entertaining television. It's already entertaining, and that would just take it like to the next level. So we'll see what happens. But that's it for us today, guys. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. That's Mark Zeno. I'm Lauren Jabara. Guess what? We'll be right back here tomorrow. We'll see you then. Until then, let's get it. Let's bet it.